Arvo is a Python library for procedural music composition, and I'm going to show you quickly how you can use it to compose. So let me share my screen, and first thing you need is an editor for Python where you can run Python and compile it. Personally, I use PyCharm, which is done by is a wonderful program, free, that you can use. So first install PyCharm here, and then you need to open a new project. So open a new project. Let's call that Arvo test 2, since I already had one made. So you want to be sure that you're using a new virtual environment. You have a path for your location and an interpreter. So you simply run this and it's going to create you a project and a virtual environment. So a virtual environment in Python is an environment which will contain the different libraries that you can import and install to use with your Python code. In particular, this is where you will install Arvo, my library, and Music21, which is the library designed by Michael Cuthbert at the MIT, and which is the basis on which Arvo is built. So let's wait for the install. Now that the project inside PyCharm is installed, the next thing you do is to install the Arvo module. Arvo is on the PyPy directory, so what you need to do is open the terminal. Once you open the terminal, you want to write pip install Arvo. Simply that's it. You press enter, and it's going to collect the current version of Arvo, as of this making it 0.3, and Arvo will automatically also collect Music21 and install both of those. So then you're just waiting and it's installing Arvo and Music21 inside your virtual environment, and once the setup is done, you're ready to go. So this is something that can take a few minutes. So let's fast forward to when it's done. And 2-3 minutes later, it tells me that it's successfully installed Arvo and Music21. So now we're ready to go. So now you just need to start a Python script. Here, PyCharm, by creating the project, created a main Python file, which I can simply use. I'll just delete whatever is there, but you can create your own file, or you can create multiple files if you want to work on multiple libraries, pieces. You can create one project per piece, or create one big environment to work with Arvo inside, and create inside multiple folders for multiple pieces or compositions that you want to do. So once you have your Python code, you need to import the different modules that Arvo is doing. You can do it in 2 times. You can simply say import Arvo, and then you can access it. For example, if you want to access the minimalism module, you can write arvo.minimalism and access different functions from that. But it's generally suggested to import specific modules directly. It's easier to write after that. So for example, we will type from Arvo import, for example, minimalism. So now that I have, for example, like that, I imported the minimalism module. I'll also import from Arvo, I'll import tools, which is have some practical things. So for example, let's do a melody and show you a little bit how you can manipulate a melody and create some minimalist music with it. So in tools, there is a handy function which is called notes to stream, which can simply take a list of notes and create a stream. A stream is a music element. It's a list of notes duration. So it's kind of a chunk of music in Music 21. So in the Music 21, a stream is the basic chunk of music. It can be a part, a score, a bar. It's a collection of musical objects. So this easily creates some notes. So let's input here. I'll make a list. So let's put a list. You can simply define notes like that. Let me write, compose here a small melody. So we're composing a little melody here in C minor. All right, so we have a melody, and obviously we need to call that. So let's put it, call that, that's our basic, let's call that melody. So melody equals, so now melody contains a stream that's made out of those notes. And now that you have a stream, you can do a couple of things thanks to Music 21. So in particular, if you type simply melody.show, it's going to open it in your defined editor. This is something that you can see how to do. You have to configure this. There's information based on the Music 21 site. So basically, here I have configured the location of my installation of MuseScore. So whenever I press melody.show, it's going to simply open it in MuseScore. So now if I run here main, I click run main, it finished. And when I check in MuseScore, I have my little melody that I can even play. Right, so now I have a little melody. This so far is simply a melody. Now let's show a little bit what Arvo can do. So let's now convert it. So I'm going to say that my melody is equals to, I'm going to minimalism additive process. I'm going to do an additive process, and let's pull it on melody. So simply by default, it's going to build up the melody by taking the first and the first two, the first three, the first four, and the first 5 notes. So if I just press run again and open it, you can see that now I have my melody that's built up. It simply applied an additive process as itself. Now, in this case, it's not making something musically very interesting, since the note values have always the same rhythm. This is where isorhythmic constructions come in as so useful, because isorhythm breaks the symmetry of those additive processes by placing them on a certain rhythmic grid. So I'm going to create an isorhythm with this. First, I'm going to create a durations stream that I'm going to use. So I'm going to use, again, from tools, I'm going to use direct durations to stream. So it's like another function that comes with Arvo that makes this easy to do. So then I'll put in a list of duration in quarter notes. So for example, if I put 2, 1, 0.5 and 0.5, this means that it's going to be a half, quarter, and 2 8 notes. And then I'm going to import, so from Arvo, import isorhythm. And I'm going to say that my melody equals isorhythm.create isorhythm, and then I need to provide first the pitch and then the duration sequences. So my pitch sequence is the melody and the durations. So now basically it's going to cross my additive melody and map it onto a cycle of half, quarter, and 2 8 notes. So if I show this now, there we go. So I have the same thing here, but now it has a little bit more shape because it has a rhythmic profile. Now, without rhythm, music is not much. Let's make that a little bit more complex here, just to make it to a pattern, a rhythmic pattern of 2 bars, so that it's a little bit less repetitive. So it's just now building it up. The additive process, for example, minimalism.additive process has a couple of options. Here I'm building it from the start, but if I wish, I could build it from the end. So I can write direction equals, you want to go to minimalism.direction, and you can specify inward, backward, outward, forward. There's a couple of options. Let's say if we want to do it backwards, and I rerun it. Now it's the same melody, but it starts building from the last note of the stream and adds them progressively. And so on. I could also, if I want, there are certain options. If you want to make the progression a little bit slower, repetitions allow each chunk how much is going to be repeated. So for example, instead of adding 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 notes, it's going to put twice. For example, if I put repetitions equals 2, I'm going to have twice 1 note, twice 2 notes, twice 3 notes, twice 4 notes. And you can specify a different amount of repetitions. So if I put it like this, now it's gonna progress a little bit slower. So now the raise that a new note comes in a longer way. So you can work with that. So there's many modules in Arvo that you can explore like this. Now, in addition, now that it's in MuseScore, you can export it as XML, MIDI, or anything else. Open it in other programs, Dorico, Finale, Sibelius, export it into a DAW. But Music 21 can also export directly as MIDI. So my melody, if you put, instead of show, you put write, it's going to create a file directly. So if I write, you want it to write MIDI, and I'm going to give it a file name. Let's call that melody.mid. And now, if I run this here, notice that here in my project, here in PyCharm, I have now a melody.mid. And I can import that into something directly. Here, I have I have Ableton Live open already with some synths set up. So for example, if I just import this here, I have a mini Moog set, with Arturia. I have a mini Moog that's going into a space echo. And if I simply play that, you're gonna get, sorry, but a sound. I've programmed already a little bass line just to accompany it. And so on. So for example, here I have it like that. This is really my structure. And you can do other things. For example, here you have melodies. I could append, for example, if I want to add a retrograde, I can write melody.append. And let's import from Arvo, import transformations. Let's say I want to append to that transformations.retrograde of my melody. So you see, so here I'm appending to my melody a retrograde of the melody. So now if I play it, it's gonna show it in MuseScore if I want to see it in MuseScore, but it's gonna have updated my MIDI file. I'm gonna just open my MIDI file back in Ableton Live. And now that you can actually see in Ableton that the second part is a retrograde. So once I get here, the second part is a perfect retrograde now of my first part. And so far I've demonstrated minimalism, isorhythm and transformations modules. Let's just show you also the Tintinabuli module, which can create Arvo part style Tintinabuli. So now if I take, well, I write, for example, melody 2 equals Tintinabuli dot, create T voice. So it's going to create a T voice from my M voice, which is my M voice, is my melody. So I want my melody. You have to specify the T chord, so the chord of pitches. In this case, let's use a C minor chord since it was in C minor. So I'm going to tell it that it's C, E flat, and G are the chords. However, by the way, this is, standard way that Arvo part makes Tintinabuli is by using the tonic chord, but you can put anything in there. You can put a different chord, you can put some dissonant chords, and you can create some really interesting effects with that. I have to say in which position. I'm going to put it in second position, and the direction of the Tintinabuli, I'm going to put it Tintinabuli.direction down. Let's put it down. So now I have melody 2, so it's going to generate a second melody, and I'm going to write it in another MIDI file. So let's run this. So basically here my melody 2 is here. Let's get that into live onto a second track. So now here so that's the Tintinabuli in second position below, along with it. And here, for fun, what I did with the Tintinabuli line in live is that I added an arpeggiator, which will repeat it. So the first thing I did is that it's repeating it every 16th note. And then I put it with 2 octaves above. And let's hear that along with the bass. And there it is. After that, limit is your imagination. This is a basic tutorial on how you can use that. Further, go into the documents of Arvo, explore it, and on my end, I'll keep adding some new cool functions that are coming. If you encounter any issue with the program, report it on the GitHub. I'll be happy to help. Thank you for listening and happy music making.